So in my most recent video, I made a ship that could actually, like, live react to the terrain below it and would adjust its suspension very radically to fit it. And I was trying to figure out some use cases for it, and someone suggested, well, the only real use case for this level of suspension is for very large vehicles that risk getting beached if they go over a hill wrong. I think I have a use for it. So I want to upgrade our baguette to be a land vehicle. We already have a flying version. It would be very interesting as a land vehicle. Here's the issue: is this code works fine for 4 of these. But because there's no such thing as iteration in the breadboard, we're going to have to do one of these rows for every single wheel, and I'm probably gonna want this is probably gonna be like a 36 wheeler or something. So we're gonna have to port this thing to Lua. This can't access wheels or feet, which kind of critically necessary for what I'm doing. I have a better idea. We don't need the feet, because the breadboard actually has just a straight up get terrain altitude for position. Oh, yeah, I just get terrain altitude for local position, so I could just be, hey, get terrain altitude for this. Alright, I'm gonna do a table, because Lua uses tables instead of having other stuff. So the table is like a combination of an array and a list, and a dictionary, and like literally all of them all at once. Alright, so we're gonna try to make like a list of every, how do I say this? Of every wheel assembly, which includes the wheel and all the pistons. And we'll just give each one of them a number. And their names, it'll be like suspension 1 piston. That is a piston in the suspension system of wheel number 1. And one will be suspension 1 piston base, meaning that one's a special piston. That's the piston that we're actually going to measure the height from. So it'll be the height that we've measured from just the base piston. And then a list of all the pistons, including the base piston. So we can do the math and then extend our base pistons to where we want. Or all of the pistons. For each individual wheel assembly. Alright. This will return a truthy value, so I think this will work. So if it contains the word suspension in it, we know it's a suspension component. So we only do anything from there. The way this works, this doesn't even have to be like a number. I could just name each individual column. I might call one like Robert. It'll work. I really want to now name every single one of them separately. So now it's all about 1, but if we do this as suspension Robert piston base, now we should also have a second set that is named Robert. Who broke it? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna do this as a string. I had this set up to go as a number, but now I want it as a string. Alright, now we have the piston column named Robert. Alright, if we grab the first value, that should be its height, or rather the terrain right there. So Robert's terrain is 20.01, which I can believe because we're 24. Now we're gonna just implement this normal math, and then iterate through all Roberts and call it, or set its height. Alright, this will be Amelia. And then this one will be called assembly D. Now we don't actually... Now that we're just looking at elevation, not our current height, we don't have to care about this offset. We do need to invert it, though. We also don't need to pay attention to gap either. So, nice. We bring them all down to 0, and then we iterate again. This is actually like a lot simpler, which is funny, because a lot of the corrections we have to do don't matter because we're doing altitude instead of like our current height over it. So now this should be, this John, a list, right? Yeah, a list of all of the pistons. They're a specific subconstruct identifier. Now we just go boop. Because we were smart enough to store the ID. Now, for now, it's just going to be length. But in the future, when it's going to be multiple pistons long, it'll actually be smart about how many it has and divide the length by that value. What? Oh, I'm iterating over the wrong... What? Oh my god, I'm just a complete wreck. You would think I don't know how to, program. Okay. Does it work? Perfect. It's back. We are so back, and it is so much simpler and more extensible. Now we can have pretty much an infinite number of wheels, and as long as that stack is named the same thing, it'll work perfectly. Now I'm gonna throw a little wrench into it. Only one of these is the piston base, but these are both Robert pistons. And it's gonna be as easy as we divide by the length of the piston table. That's what this little hashtag operator is. Alright, so now it should work just the same. It's a little too springy right now. Yeah, no, it works perfectly. It now evenly splits the load between the two. Perfect. Perfect. The last feature we need to port over to the full Lua version of this. The last feature that we need to port over to the full Lua version of this is looking ahead. Alright, the Z value is our forwards. This should be really easy, actually. Forward velocity magnitude right there. So we just add that times our look ahead ratio. So now if we're moving it, now it will look 0.2 seconds ahead. This would make it look 0.6 seconds ahead, and it will also look behind, which is something it didn't do before. And it's a very subtle effect, but it is like going down earlier. Since we're not in the water, we can kill this keel. I'm just gonna really quickly... make wheel wells. Some big ass wheels. How many did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's only 50 meters. That's not too insane. 50 meters of suspension. Oh, we also want to clear all our I gotta manually delete every column. Alright. We've brought Robert back. Alright, now we just gotta do that, like... Jesus Christ, so many more times. You know, I was gonna... cut out a spot, like, right here for a double thick wheel. assembly. I don't know, the like massive tail hanging off the ground is kind of cool looking. We got Robert and Robert Joe. Just gonna work on it while it slowly, ever so slowly makes its way there at 15 meters per second. Yeah, 15 meters per second is actually pretty decent. Considering the size of this thing, 15 meters per second is good. That's like street legal. I think this thing's a little bit too big. I think this thing's outside of the weight class to be street legal, but fast enough for it. All right, let's see. Yeah, it bumps the back one. It works. Let's add just like a... I can foresee it being useful to have like a little rubber skid pad right here. I have this weird feeling that I might have a use for that. Look at that. It stays flat. All right, time for more naming. Gary. We need trans rep. So Luna. Want some representation? I'm pretty sure that's like... that represents like a third of the community. And now some cisgender representation. Chad, naturally. Oh. No, never mind. We can't fit that. Shit. I'll have to do like a similar character in terms of like vibe and writing quality. It's like most people on the planet, so I guess we need some representation. Rajesh. Baljit. This is piston number 12. Craig, I think. You feel like a Craig. Patrick. We got Quebecois Patrick. The proper way to label things is usually using Greek lettering, so I guess we gotta use some of that. You know, there's all those like cool Mad Maxy Raider guys from the Dust and Wind gangs. I imagine we hired a couple of them for the engineering on this. So we got a name after some of them. What would like Raiders? What would like cool, evil, drugged up Mad Max Wasteland Raiders call themselves? They'd call themselves like something cool. Alright. Couple cool Raider names. Badass, cool Wasteland Raider names. I was just gonna do vulgar equals funny, but I'm realizing that this sequence of words really implies something very, very different, but it's probably fine. Alright, one last cool evil raider name. Hey, go. Beep, please. Oh. It's beautiful. Look at that. Yaw, pitch, and roll. 0 and 0 and 90. Wait, why are these backwards? I placed these in mirror mode. Why did it like flip them? Gotta now replace like a bunch of these because the whole wheel assembly is backwards. Look at it. It's so steady. It's pitch and roll or 0 and 0 flat. I have conquered land in this game. This is the peak of land combat. I'm going to put a couple of non-functional invisible pistons in the front and back that will just affect the calculations, so it will intentionally try to keep front and back from, scraping against the ground. Yeah, look at that. Now it considers this one the lowest of them all. Neat. But yeah. Anyway, we now have the most crazy, stupid, over-the-top suspension for the longest limousine tank imaginable. If you guys have any other suggestions, you should drop them in the comments below, but I think I'm satisfied with this video. So, yeah, thank you for watching and have a nice day. Take care.